নমস্কার, আমি অনিলাভ। এক্সট্রা টাইম বাংলা আপনাদের সবাইকে স্বাগত। সকালবেলায় চলে এসেছি ময়দানে, ইস্টবেঙ্গল ক্লাবে বসে আছি ইনফ্যাক্ট। তো কারণ অন্য কিছু নয়, কারণ হচ্ছেন যে আপনারা কয়েকদিন যদি আপনারা টেলিভিশনে দেখে থাকেন বা আমাদের ওয়েবসাইটে দেখে থাকেন যে কলকাতায় প্রথমত 3 ক্লাবের ঘেরা মাঠে একজন বিশেষ অতিথির আগমন হচ্ছে। তিনি হচ্ছেন আর কেউ নন, কলকাতা এই মুহূর্তে ইউকের যিনি ডেপুটি হাই কমিশনার, তিনি হচ্ছেন ফ্লেমিং। এবং অ্যান্ড্রু ফ্লেমিং এত প্যাশনেট ফুটবল ফ্যান যে উনি কলকাতার সমস্ত খেলা, যেরকম ওনমান খেলছে, ইস্টবেঙ্গল খেলছে, এমনকি আমি দেখেছি কয়েকদিন আগে যে এখানে যে মেয়েদের খেলা হয়েছিল ওমেন্স লিগে, ইস্টবেঙ্গল খেলছিল, সেখানেও আমি গ্যালারিতে দেখেছিলাম অ্যান্ড্রু ফ্লেমিংকে। সুতরাং এরকম একজন ফুটবল পাগল মানুষ, যিনি শুধুমাত্র ভারতবর্ষে না, পৃথিবীর বিভিন্ন দেশে ঘুরে বেরিয়েছেন, তার কাছ থেকে জেনে নেওয়া তার যে ফুটবল অভিজ্ঞতা এবং কলকাতায় যে খেলা দেখছেন তার কেমন লাগছে এবং কী ভাবনা রয়েছে অ্যাকচুয়ালি, সেটা সব কিছু জেনে নেওয়ার জন্য অ্যান্ড্রু ফ্লেমিংকে আমরা পেয়ে গেছি। খুব ব্যস্ত মানুষ, বুঝতেই পারছেন, তার একটা বিরাট দায়িত্বে তিনি এসছেন এখানে কলকাতায়, এবং একই সঙ্গে ফুটবলটা তিনি কিন্তু বলেননি। তো স্যার, মিস্টার ফ্লেমিং, হাউ ডু আই introduce you? The passionate football fan or football diplomat?
I don't know. That's up to you. It's your prerogative, no? I mean, I do like football. I am a diplomat, and I do believe that there is diplomacy to be made with football and indeed with all sports in general.
So tell me something about, so you have visited all these clubs, all this football stadium especially in Calcutta. So before that, have you visited any stadium? You have been in Hyderabad and any other part of India.
Of course.
So have you seen any other football stadium?
Quite a lot. I used to watch Hyderabad FC. So even in their glory moment of winning the championship in Goa. So I've been to Goa. Before Hyderabad FC existed, I've also been to see Fateh Hyderabad, but rather like the third of the three teams of Bengal, Mohammedan Sporting Club. They are having to play some distance away from their ground.
Kalani, I believe.
In fact, yeah, for Fateh Hyderabad, they played really far. They were playing in Anantapur, in Andhra Pradesh, not even in the same state. So we had a 5.5-hour journey to go to a home match.
Oh my God.
But I did that. And I've been to football in some other stadiums in Hyderabad. Police Stadium is a very famous old stadium. I've been to football in Pune, in Mumbai, in Bangalore, both the ISL team and also the original home, which is still being used as the Bengal Football Association ground. So all of those, I think there's a few more as well in India, here and there. I'm always looking for new places to go. Yesterday I was watching cricket at Eden Gardens, and
There was a match where in between the
my UK and India v India in UK British Heritage Cup.
right.
But I met a football person there from another Calcutta League team, Rainbow.
Yes, yes.
So chatting to him, where's your ground? When you're going to play, I'm going to come. So it goes on like that. I will go and watch football, all levels, anywhere. I don't mind what league it is. I enjoy watching and I enjoy meeting, particularly clubs which have got a history and a tradition, which I think is also part of my interest. I will always go to some traditional ground, traditional venue, somewhere that's been a long time, over going to new build, all of that. Because we have a lot of new grounds in the UK. We have got 92 clubs, and there's a 92 club. People that have been to every ground. A lot of people do it. I don't think I've actually been to all 92, but nearly half of them, I would say, have been knocked down and built new stadium. I'm not interested to go back to the new stadiums. Not any character there, really. I mean, if I have my team playing, I'll go and watch. But otherwise, I'd much rather go to a lower league ground that's been around for a long time, has some history, has some character, has those roots in the community. Because it's not just about the football, it's about all the rest of the connections that come with it that I'm finding really interesting, social history and all of that as well. So yeah, that's been my passion. Wherever I've gone in the world, I've gone to look for football and try to watch as much as I can.
So in Calcutta, I think you have got that history and this kind of passion
I got lucky.
in these three clubs basically. So what is your feeling? I mean, coming in these clubs. I mean,
Well, I mean, I said very clearly when I arrived in Calcutta. First of all, I believe in loyalty to whoever your club is, and because I'd lived in Hyderabad for 5 years and I was following the Hyderabad team, I said my loyalty must stay with them. I've only been out of India for a short time. I will not become a declared fan of any of the clubs in Calcutta. I want to be a friend of all of them. And I've now said by Christmas I want to visit all three. I've managed just about. So I went to Mohun Bagan first. Very nice meeting with their officials, and we had quite a long discussion around the table. Quite interesting. I enjoyed that. I asked them, let me know when there's a match on your home ground. I'm looking forward to going. I did see them play a match against Odisha in the Asian Cup, which unfortunately for them they lost at home. I have friends also from Odisha as well, but I went there and enjoyed the game as a neutral very much. And I'm looking forward to going to see them play a home match very soon in their ground here on the Medan. Then I came here to East Bengal. I must say I got a very warm welcome here. Very impressed with quite a lot of the community work I could see that the club are doing. It was very visible, and particularly the girls' team, the women's team. I'm a big fan of encouraging more girls and women's in sport, in football in particular. I think it helps give young women confidence as well. So I've been to see a couple of girls' games, and I've seen one of the other games down at Salt Lake for the first team. Again against Odisha. Again, my friends from Odisha there. But what I like this time, the officials of East Bengal met my friends from Odisha, and then they invited them to come here for the women's first India
IWL
Women's
match,
League
yes.
match. So they came for this, and they really enjoyed. So, you know, I think there's always rivalry, but equally in football, there's more space for friendship and more common than difference. So it was great for them to come and have that opportunity to come and see another club and how they're running their women's team and all of the passion. And it's very unusual, I think, in India to have such a passionate group of fans behind the goal making such noise and singing and all. So it was really, really good. And then I went to Mohammedan Sporting Club's tent. Very impressive. Really, really nicely set up place. But of course, they can't stage their I-League matches there. So I had to go off to 40 kilometers to the north. Embarrassing myself by forgetting the name of the district beginning with N. You'll know. But I saw them playing the team from Manipur on Christmas Eve,
Yeah.
and then managed to get back in time to attend midnight mass at St Paul's.
Yeah.
So just about.
So are you aware of all the football history like Mohun Bagan won against a British club in 1911. So in official final and all this history we are came to know.
Yeah, I mean, there's an awful lot of history connecting the UK and all three of the clubs, the big three clubs in Calcutta. I'm only beginning to learn and understand about it. Mohun Bagan had an incredible collection of pictures and stories, and a match against a team from I think it was called East Yorkshire,
East
which of
Yorkshire,
course
East
doesn't now
Yorkshire.
exist
Yeah, yeah, East
as
Yorkshire.
a
That exists,
county.
yeah.
But they have that famous photo and the team playing in bare feet,
Yeah, right.
and all of that. Uh, this club also has its museum, East Bengal, and also a lot of history and connect with the UK, including quite recent. There's a picture of them uh, at near the Parliament in London and playing in a tournament in Manchester. So there's that connection, and the Mohammedan Sporting also has some connections, and they were showing me a little bit of their um, archive, and they've invited me back so I can understand more. But I mean, it's a real privilege to live in a city which has three historic clubs.
Yes.
And India doesn't have many clubs with such long and proud histories. In fact, nowhere in India has clubs with as long or as proud history, because these are two of the three oldest clubs in the country. And you know, that's for me and my interest unbelievable. I'm very, very lucky. I'm blessed. God's been kind, as somebody, a friend of mine, says to me.
Yeah, and there is lots of other club also who are
Many.
actually started before the independence, and they have a lot of history of 25 years or more than that.
Yeah.
In Calcutta. Apart from these two clubs,
Yes, many. Well, three clubs, but then there's many others.
three clubs, yeah.
You got Ariane, who co-share this ground. You've got the Calcutta club, who co-share the Mohun ground.
Yeah.
And then there's many other clubs that some still around, some dating back a long way, others that have been formed more recently, but still been around for a few years. You know, I met these guys from Rainbow FC, formed I think 1956, which is still a long enough history to have a lot of the things that I've already spoken about in terms of community connect and all of that. You know, I mean, it's a really rich treasure trove of exploring for someone, and probably, you know, I work pretty long days, pretty much 7 days a week, but when I have some free time, you know, this is probably how I like to rest most. Either going and exploring somewhere I haven't been, or going to sit and watch some football. And if I can combine the two things, even better. Nothing like it.
And I came to know you have visited more than 850 football stadium in the world. So can you just share some stories about this?
Yeah, I've been to 872 stadiums by my count as of now. I mean, you know, I don't know what I can tell you about it. I can tell you that I maybe been in about 30, 35 countries. I've not really counted the countries I've watched football. I've seen some memorable games, of course. In that time, I've been to some super stadiums, some places that the World Cup has been hosted. You know, but some of the best stadiums are not those. Some of those stadiums that really touch my heart are much smaller, simpler places, but there's some atmosphere about them that makes them somehow special. You know, I I went to let me think. I went to I mean, most of the grounds I've watched football is in the UK, of course, as you would expect.
And which club you support?
Millwall.
Okay.
This is my team.
Okay, Millwall.
Yeah. Um, so I've watched people here like Premier League football. So I mean, I've been to Highbury and Anfield, in every club in the Premier League, in fact, except for Brentford, who have got a new stadium. I've been to their old stadium. I will go to their new one when I can, but haven't had a chance. And I haven't been to the new West Ham stadium, but I've been to the old one. Um, and most of those clubs, when I visited, they were still standing up, much bigger crowd capacities, very, very different experience. Now everything is seated and all. Um, and a lot of my memories go back to the days of watching football in those grounds, from being a kid and a teenager, travelling around, always trying to go to a new ground every week if I can, and so on. And then I got into watching lower level football. So, you know, we have numerous levels of football.
Yes.
There's 10 levels of senior football in the UK. Many people only know about the top one or maybe the top four, but there's 6 more levels below that. So I go and watch football at all of those levels, and it makes a big pyramid. So because the leagues are regional as you get further down, after level 5 is still national, level 6 is 2, level 7 becomes 4, and then it continues. So by the time you get to level 10, there's many different leagues, which means that there's an abundance of places that you can go and explore and visit. Most recently in the UK, I went to see a team called Mossley, who play outside of Manchester, in Tameside, in the hills. Very beautiful ground. One I've been wanting to go for years. So really glad to have gone there. There's a lot of really historic grounds around in the UK there where football's been played since the 1800s. Some of those places are absolutely fascinating to go and visit. But there's a real danger of them being redeveloped for houses or whatever. So, I'm a little bit sad that happens. And then when I've travelled, I've always tried to go and find what football I can. I guess when I lived in Uganda, I used to go and watch a team called Express quite a lot. That was fun. When I lived in Ghana, I was there for the Africa Cup of Nations in 2008. So I got to see loads of those matches, including the final. Really lucky to be in the right place at the right time for a football lover. Although I didn't go to as many grounds in Ghana as I would have liked because it was logistically a little bit difficult to get around and manage to do that. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, I watched a lot of local football in different places, and that was great. But there wasn't really the team that belonged to the ground. There were grounds that were there, few, and there were always matches going on. But many teams would use the same field. But I watched a lot of football. One football club played on the edge of a very poor community. 3 sides was a rubbish dump. One side was some houses. You had to pick your way through the rubbish or through some narrow lanes to even get to pitch side. But always there was 400-500 people around that pitch all watching the game. Completely different concept of football to what you're seeing at the top level. But all the passion was there.
Yeah, but still they're doing so well in the international
Absolutely.
football. Ghana, Nigeria, they've played a couple of World Cup footballs, and the standard of the football is really high.
They've managed.
So what's the reason?
Why?
You have watched the African football so closely.
They do okay. Ghana did get to semi-final in 2010 World Cup, and then lost out to Uruguay. Quarter-final, quarter-final they got, and lost out to Uruguay with that handball in the last minute. There's definitely the talent there, clearly, and the ambition and the focus. But you ain't going to get to the top level unless you really invest and have that strategy to make your team work. And so it's inconsistent a little bit. You've seen Ghana there, but then subsequent years maybe they haven't been there. Nigeria the same. By rights, Nigeria should always be there because they have the biggest population in Africa, a lot of talented footballers, but it's having the right infrastructure to be able to ensure that that translates into success. And, that comes down to good leadership and all. So we've seen it happen at times, but not on a consistent basis. Africa has so many places in the World Cup each time. I think the last World Cup they had either 4 or 5 teams, I think, if I'm not wrong. You'll usually get different teams each year, so there isn't always the same team coming back. Nigeria, I don't think they made it last time,
No,
sadly.
Nigeria not there. Yeah.
Ghana were there,
Yeah.
so it's it could be it could be better. But the thing about African football is that it can be a shock to teams that haven't played against that kind of team. Fast paced, lot of energy. In the case of Qatar, also well accustomed to the climate. I mean, Senegal, shocking France, uh, amazing. But that's the
Every
kind
year,
of thing that happens. Although, to be fair, the best Senegal players, most of them go and play in France
yes,
because of that colonial link.
right.
But, in Asia also you have a number of teams that are qualifying each time. Sadly, India hasn't been one that's qualified. India, like Nigeria, is a huge country in Asia, the biggest country in the world, of course. And I really, really hope that it can fulfill its potential, because the potential is here in the country. I have no doubt the potential is here. But you have to have that desire and that structure and that plan to turn that potential into the reality. And it doesn't come in 2 years or 4 years. You've had some success with your younger teams more recently, and the women's football here is something that has been on the up recently as well. And I really hope somehow a plan will come where there can be a long-term focus to really harness India's potential in football. Even in this region that I represent in the east and the northeast, so much talent is there. I mean, I've seen it. Every match I've gone to watch, there's one or two players I'm thinking, my God, really, really impressive. They can definitely go further. Whether they have that opportunity or not, I don't know. I mean, how do you even, our manager in England, he goes around and watches 15, 20 different teams regularly, looking at his players and looking for new talent and so on. But I mean, how on earth do you manage that in a country the size of India with two parallel leagues almost? I know there's some hierarchy, but basically two parallel leagues covering such a huge geography. Um, it's very, very difficult to spot that talent, and I don't accept you can just sit and watch on TV top level I League football to find the best talent here, and top level ISL football. You need to be there in the ground. It's a lot of what the players are doing off the ball and on the ball, when you can really see if they have that all-round ability to read the game, get into the right positions, all of that. You can't tell that from watching a match on TV. You have to travel. You have to be able to do that. And I honestly don't know how the infrastructure here works at the top level, but I believe with the right people, the right investment, and the right set of goals, India could become a football superpower. I remember a few years ago, China got into the World Cup final, and that didn't happen by luck. That happened by design at the time. They decided they wanted to harness their potential and find the right players to be able to deliver World Cup qualification, and they managed to get to one World Cup. But it was a bit of a disappointing World Cup for them when they got there. And then I'm assuming, I don't know.
2002.
I'm assuming the passion lost because the expectation wasn't met, and they focused on other things in sport. I mean, China is brilliant in sport in many respects.
Yeah.
But they
Olympic, all the Olympic sports.
they focus on certain sports, and you can't focus on every sport, of course. But football here, and the passion here, the passion in the east, in the northeast, in Kerala, in Goa, and the ability. Not to say that there are not also brilliant footballs in many other places. I went to Jharkhand, and it's another place where there were some great football players that have emerged in the past. I know that historically, a number were part of that team that played in Australia in the 50s, alongside some from Hyderabad. So we have to have a better, not me, but those that love football, those that have the ability to influence, sit down together, agree together, get your league structure worked out in a way that you have a pyramid like the UK that operates teams going up and down, and it's completely based on merit and ability. And football has to generate some kind of incentive for people to invest and want to be part of it. If these things can be sorted out, and if clubs, as they're beginning to do, I have to give credit to the India Soccer League. They're insisting now that they have different types of clubs, reserve team, women's team, girls team, etc. This is a very good start, but this has to be built on and developed further, and other clubs need to be encouraged and incentivized to do that. And where there is any kind of money investment, can't always just be at the top. It needs to spread across the whole pyramid. Basically, in the UK, that's how they're trying to do it. There's always arguments about too much money goes to the top, not enough goes to the bottom clubs. But there is a foundation to support grassroots football in the UK. Really, really important, And we're definitely not the best. We haven't won the World Cup since 1966.
But England is playing very well.
They are playing very well at the moment. But you see the clubs that have been more successful than us, and you dig into why they're more successful, into their structures, and then you see the idea of why that's happened. I mean, you can look at France, you can look at Spain, you can look at Italy in Europe, you can look at South America, where football is absolutely everything. There's no cricket there; it's just football. In Brazil and Argentina, but it's something at every level, and you need to give young kids a chance to play football at an early level, at an early stage, and you also need to have full-size football pitches like this one. After about 10, it's really important that kids play on proper football fields. I mean, reduced size for younger kids, but still proper football fields, 11-a-side, and learn how to play 11-a-side rather than get sucked into these mini versions of football, which I don't think teach the same skills to develop at such a formative age. So those kind of facilities are really important.
So can British government can be a good support for the building infrastructure? Mostly, bringing the knowledge for the game.
The knowledge is there. I mean, at the moment, Odisha has a CEO who comes from the UK, and he's trying to deliver a UK model to a football club in the ISL. I think he's doing a really good job. I think what Odisha has achieved on its scale, on its budget, has been really, really impressive. And people should look at that and think, that's a kind of possibility. And there are other people like him that I'm sure could offer the same possibility. So that is there. I mean, we haven't got the funds to fund lots and lots of football stuff in the UK. In my budget, I'm afraid, the British Council in the past, and I think in Odisha at the moment, have been running programs for grassroots football in India. They did one in Calcutta in the past.
That was a gold project. Actually.
Yeah, and they're doing one in Odisha now.
I think they're not continuing the project.
They're doing in Odisha now, I believe, at the moment. I think it's coming to an end, but they have been for that project's for 3 years. The issue about that project, my understanding, is like all the projects that we try to do, and I think this is really important, we do it for a defined amount of time with the aim that it becomes sustainable. So we do it for so long, and then it should be picked up and embedded into local infrastructure, local funding streams, so that that work can continue. So if we run that project for 3 years and then it stops, and after another year there's no football being played, the project has been a failure. I hope in addition the project will work. I think some previous projects, and I'm not the one to talk about this in depth, but some previous projects similar to that haven't delivered what we would like to see. And that's got to happen if you want to get that kind of support, you know? You want to see a long-term outcome. You can't just continue to say, well, we'll fund training in football for young people indefinitely. There has to be a way in which that then becomes embedded into the community, into the local structures, and it continues.
Since you're in charge of Northeast also, and so do you have any plan to go visit their stadiums and?
I've been to Meghalaya, Assam, and Nagaland already. I did visit the stadiums in Shillong and in Kohima already. I haven't shown the pictures on my media yet, but I will. I haven't been to matches though, and obviously I can't travel around India based on football. I mean, I'm here to do a serious job. Football is my hobby. If I'm happening to be somewhere where there's a match and I'm able to go to watch it, I will watch it. Of course I will. I hope to. And if I'm here in Calcutta and I know that there's a match somewhere in the northeast that I'd like to watch, and I can make all the logistical arrangements and permissions and everything else to go, I will quickly arrange. But I have to plan, you know. I can't just do in 2 minutes. So it's difficult, but I hope that I'll get to some games in the northeast. Definitely every place I go in the northeast I'll visit stadiums. I have to go and watch Northeast United, Jamshedpur, and Odisha. So I've seen all of the top teams in the region I'm responsible for, and I'd really love to get to see all of the top level I League teams that play in this region too in time. But you know, it's not my business priority. Primarily, I'm here to work and deliver on a wider thing. But I genuinely believe football and wider sport is a big part, and sports diplomacy is something that is a real asset for us, particularly in the UK-India relationship, and particularly, I would say, beyond that, the UK relationship with this particular region where there's such passion for sport, such a love for sport. So, yeah, I mean, as much as possible, I will be doing that.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for talking to us.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Anytime.